Hi, beautiful beings. My name is Natalie. Welcome. I'm so grateful to be here in this moment with you. Welcome to my channel, Sun in Cancer. On here, I dive deep into all things introspection, wellness, and spirituality, and the ways that I have found to practice it all, and how I'm navigating my way through it all. Today I'd like to get into a little bit of my introspection practice and how I've been connecting with my inner voice, and a few different ways that I have found work for me. To begin, I definitely want to say I started working on introspection and trying to get in tune with my inner voice when I discovered how crammed my mind is. I always had a lot on my mind, more so about things I had no control over, whether that being the past, trying to control the future, and without realizing, all of those thoughts that were crammed in my mind started to affect my own personal behavior. When it came to my attitude, when it came to my outlook on life, where it came to how I was personally feeling throughout my days. And I know everybody can relate to this, right? We all have things that we think about. We all have different duties in life that require a lot of our focus, a lot of our time, and it can become so mundane. It's so repetitive to the point where you don't even realize what it is that you're doing daily. You're kind of like on autopilot. And the part that fears me the most is how normal people think that is. And I really value and respect and admire those who really take the time to dive in deeper, to find the meaning of it all, and to stop listening to those who say, yeah, that's normal, that's just a part of life. And I'm here to say that that's not true. I'm here to say that it's not normal to have so much on your mind that it affects your daily life and you don't even realize it. I personally believe that reality is made up in your mind. It makes a lot of sense, it's your perspective on things and how you react, and it's hard to see it, but you are in control of all those things. So without further ado, let me get into some of the practices that I started utilizing in my own personal life that I have found help me a lot. I'd like to start with tip number 1, which is focusing on the little things. Sounds very broad. It sounds very basic. I think a good way to know if you have a cluttered mind is if, when I said to focus on the little things, if you said things like, yeah, if only it was that easy. That is an example that you have a cluttered mind. It's okay if you don't realize it right now, but I have found that that is the truth. I've experienced that. I've experienced people telling me to focus on the little things, and I reacted in ways where it's like, it's impossible for me to focus on the little things. Focusing on the little things can be as simple as just acknowledging what you're already doing in your day-to-day life. I'm sure a lot of people have a ritual that they don't even realize is a ritual, but every morning a lot of people go and start their day off with getting a cup of coffee. And if you could relate, how many times have you been in such a rush to get to work or to get started on your day, and you're just like either chugging through your cup of coffee, or you get it and you let it sit for some time before you consume it? It's quote unquote normal to have a lot of things going on in your life. You're constantly in a state of rushing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. If you take the time to focus on the little things, such as pouring yourself a cup of coffee in the morning, even if it's for a minute that you have alone by yourself. Take that minute for yourself and intentionally pour your cup of coffee. Intentionally pour your creamer, put the sugar, hold that cup that you're using and just be still with it. It's hard to do in the beginning because you feel uncomfortable. You feel like, this is dumb, how is this gonna help? But just taking 1 minute and acknowledging that this coffee is going to fuel me, this coffee is going to comfort me, this coffee was made perfectly for me. That brings you back to the present moment. You're connecting with yourself. You're connecting with your inner voice. You're acknowledging a stillness that connection requires. You're acknowledging, although this seems very surface level, this doesn't do anything for me, it does. You're focusing on one thing, one little thing, and basically practicing gratitude for it. Tip number 2 on the ways that I practice connecting with my inner voice is practicing breath work. The way breath work has grounded me is that it allows me to be more present in the moment, allows me to be, again, still with myself. I'm able to truly feel the parts of my body that's letting go. My shoulders dropping, my hands aren't clenched. And what that does is it's not just your body, it's releasing tension in, but it's your mind. Again, you're giving yourself the space to completely detach from what's naturally occurring in your mind. And it doesn't mean you have to go and sit down for 15 to 30 minutes and cross your legs and completely just run a marathon with it, right? That's not a healthy way to really find out what works for you. Taking as little as 1 minute to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. And just do that. Do that maybe 3 times. Do it for a minute. And it really, really helps. It just slows everything down for a little bit. And no, it doesn't fix, the next task you have to do. None of these practices are instantly life-changing, okay? It's gonna take months and months of doing it in those moments where, your inner voice is telling you, hey, you could probably benefit from doing this right now. And you kind of just shush the inner voice away and say, I don't have time to do this, or this is dumb, this is not gonna help. We all have those weeks, right, where we feel so in tuned and we feel ready to take on the world. So we're implementing everything, everything feels good. But then life happens. Something hard comes up that you may have to deal with, and you completely drop all of your practices. And in that moment where it seems like you don't deserve your practices, I don't have time to focus on my practices, that is when you need it the most. The third tip that I have is to acknowledge the habits that don't serve you. For example, if you've acknowledged that you have an unhealthy relationship with the way that you talk to yourself, or an unhealthy relationship with food, acceptance disempowers fear, darkness, and shame. Sorry, just read my co-star. You know that for you, eating late at night kind of melts into who you're going to be waking up as in the morning. it's another that's added onto the list of things that's on your mind, and it doesn't benefit you. That is something that I personally struggled with, knowing that some of the things that I consume really don't benefit me in any way. And in that moment, it's so easy, like, not care, not think about how you're gonna feel in the morning or whatever the situation is. But come that day, you're a little more conscious and you can easily reflect on your actions. What I have practiced myself, again, as simple as it may sound, is intentionally stopping yourself in that split-second moment. Take a second and not react off of impulse. You're wanting to stop for a reason. That's your inner voice telling you maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you shouldn't do this action because you know what it's going to lead to. I would definitely say for 20 seconds, stop feeling like you don't have the time to stop for 20 seconds. It's not about stopping and being like, hey, inner voice, I know you said to wait, so I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna eat. I'm not going to do what I know is not best for me. If only it was that easy. And then being like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. No. You can utilize your breath work here. You can utilize maybe positive affirmations. That's all it's about. It's acknowledging your inner voice. I told you to wait. Sit with it for a little bit. And then the choice you make after is, I would say, a conscious choice that you made. There's no one to blame for those things like that. And I think it's a really good way to show you that sometimes we cause all these things cramming in our mind to ourselves. You knew better, and it's okay, sometimes to give in. But after a certain amount of time where this doesn't serve me, this habit doesn't serve me, but you continue to consciously do it after you gave yourself the time to reflect on the decision at hand, and you still do it, it's safe to say that we cause these things ourselves. Eventually, you will definitely build the strength to know this doesn't serve me. I'm causing these habits myself. There's no one to blame for these habits, and I need to do better. So those are my 3 tips. I did not want to come on here and say, here are 10 tips of how to try your best to connect with your inner voice, and just feed you a bunch of things that I myself haven't even practiced. These 3 methods that I utilize in my life have definitely brought me so much calmness and so much acknowledgement of what's really important in my life. And I would just like to leave you with this question, and you can write this down in your journal, or you could just self-reflect on it for a few seconds. But my question to you is, how many things are you doing right now in your life that are not serving you? It's okay if you don't have an answer, but the only thing I ask is to try to utilize one of these practices that we just went through to try to answer that question. Self-care and truly taking care of yourself is not a waste of time. I did just want to say really quickly that I really appreciate the engagement on this video. A lot of the content that I will be sharing on this platform is just video versions of my thoughts, and I dive a lot deeper into these topics on my blog, sunandcancer.com. I would really appreciate it if some of you took the time to head on over to my blog and check out what I'm implementing on there little by little. It is new, so I don't have much content on there the same way I don't have much on here, but it is intentional content. It's a reflection of my practices, what's sacred to me, what serves me, and what doesn't. And it would mean a lot to me to interact with you guys on this platform and on there as well. I'm so grateful that my voice was heard in different areas of the world, whether I have 5 views or 5,000 views. I'm so grateful for this moment, and I pray that we can connect again in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until then, bye.